Matt, really interesting fight in our featured prelim between Francisco Trinaldo, a guy whose nickname I can always remember and spell, which is weird, in Massaranduba, taking on the Black Country banger, Jai Herbert, making his UFC debut, former Cage Warriors lightweight champ. It's a steep hill to climb in his debut because Francisco Trinaldo, like we talk about guys like Marcin Tybura, he's a wet blanket, or Ramzan Emeev, he's a wet blanket. Francisco Trinaldo can really nullify a lot of things wherever the fight goes. He's a half-decent grappler. He has pretty good takedown defense, and on the feet, he's sound enough to beat guys that are good on the feet. His last 2 wins, Bobby Green, John McDessie. John McDessie is not a great fighter, but he's a good level of competition in a fight that a lot of people thought McDessie was going to win, but Trinaldo kind of snuffed everything. With Bobby Green, you got the slip, you got the moves, and you got a good takedown defense on his part, but he was able to beat him. Alexander Hernandez was a close fight. I know we're kind of preaching to the choir here. We thought that Trinaldo beat Hernandez. Before that, Evan Dunham. Then he loses to James Vick. All right, it is what it is. And then before that, we're going Kevin Lee. But that's 2017, and I know he got submitted in that fight. But that's what we have on Trinaldo. Crafty vet, 41 friggin' years old at 55.
Wild,
he just keeps doing it. He defying father time. I don't know what they fed him as a child in Brazil, but it's working out now at age 41. For Jai Herbert on the opposite side, he's been taking on good competition with Cage Warriors. His one loss is to Reese McKee that you're going to see on this card against Hamzat Chimaev. That's another tough hill to climb, but we'll get to that when we need to. But for Herbert, he's fought the good guys. Joe McColgan's a guy that a lot of people might recognize. In his last fight, Kane Carrizosa, a guy who fought in the UFC, didn't go his way, but still fought UFC-level competition. He's won 6 in a row. He's finished 5 of 6. His jiu-jitsu is great. It's going to be tough to beat Francisco Trinaldo. Again, that, like I keep saying it, tough hill to climb.
Yeah, because Trinaldo, you had kind of mentioned with the wet blanket thing, but he's not a boring fighter in that capacity. It's not like he's going to go out there just try to grapple you, get on top, not really advance position. Because I think a lot of people, no one thinks grappling is boring. People think grappling with no advancing in position is boring, and I would have to agree. Because if you have a guy, for instance, like Khabib's grappling isn't boring. He's taking you down. He's going to go for ground and pound, look for the finish constantly. But then there's some guys, Jake Shields, who just get the takedown, and then they're just kind of happy to ride that takedown out and just let the ref give them as much time to hold that top position as possible. But Trinaldo, he kind of does that same thing, only with his striking, where he's not going for that knockout blow every single time. But defensively, he kind of figures out what you're going to do, gets your rhythm, and then just finds a way to exploit the minor little details in your striking patterns. With the James Vick fight, I know he lost that fight, but you could tell. He got off to a really bad start. James Vick was kind of lighting him up with the first round, kind of lighting him up with that second round. But I thought the third round was really key to show off how good Trinaldo's fight IQ is, because with Trinaldo, by that third round, he kind of picked up on Vick's timing, and it was more of a case that did he lose the fight or did he just run out of time? Because he had figured out James Vick holds his chin up so high in the air. And he just kind of figured it out, started pressuring him, making Vick be on the back foot. And I thought that was really impressive for Trinaldo, even in a loss. And the Hernandez fight was interesting because Jai Herbert's not as good as Alexander Hernandez, or at least I don't think he is, because we don't really know how good Alexander Hernandez is, to be completely honest. But Hernandez pressured Trinaldo constantly, kept on going for pressure, really good boxing, really good wrestling, you know what you're getting from Hernandez. Trinaldo was able to nullify the majority of that, and I know the decision and the fight was in Hernandez's home state of Texas, but still, take that for what it is. Trinaldo won that fight. He showed off really good wrestling defense, really good scrambles where he did get taken down, and his striking's really good in that if you're a primary wrestler, he's going to be able to beat you on the feet. He's kind of like Ally Quinta, where Ally Quinta's, if he's fighting a primary striker, his wrestling is good enough to wrestle them. And if he's fighting a primary wrestler, his wrestling is good enough to hold them off. And then normally his striking is a little bit better than theirs is. Trinaldo's kind of like that, only from a striker's perspective.
The trouble is, Herbert's so good at jiu-jitsu, coming out of Birmingham, training with the Edwards brothers and the like. And I mean, you have good training partners there, whether it's at 70 or 85. So you're only going to improve against Trinaldo, who's typically a thicker, stockier type of guy at 55. I do think this is a tough test for Herbert. I'll get into the odds and the picks over on Tapology. Out of 827 votes, 61% Trinaldo, 83% decision. If Herbert's going to win, the majority think of the 39%, 45% saying he's going to win by submission. I think that's probably a safe one there. Trinaldo, minus 170 favorite, roughly. Herbert coming back, the plus 140 underdog. I like the odds. I think they make sense. This is one that I would probably stay away from as well. I'm going to say Trinaldo. It's not the most sound up pick because, again, Herbert, you're a 32-year-old. You have great jiu-jitsu, awesome jiu-jitsu. If you can take Trinaldo down, good shot at winning. But if it's on the feet, I would certainly favor the older man in Trinaldo here.
So, two things are really going to be key in this fight. It's going to be Trinaldo's cardio and his distance management. Because one of those things he has very well, and that's distance management. The other thing he doesn't have all that well is cardio. If you're really able to push him throughout those first 2 rounds, you will start to be able to get a little bit of success as the fight goes on. And that's actually why I'm going to pick Jai Herbert in this fight, because I do think Trinaldo is going to have success, but I think a lot of his success is going to be early on. Father Time at 41 is approaching too. Like, he might not be touching you on the shoulder, but he's like right behind you, about to push you. And with Trinaldo, I do think if he does kind of lose that step in the 3rd round, if cardio does become an issue for him, Herbert only needs 1 takedown to be able to finish this fight. I think we saw it with Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee, I know, he's much more physically strong than Herbert is, and he's more of a back taker, but I just think Herbert's going to be able to dominate if he does get the fight to the ground, and as the fight progresses, it's going to help Herbert quite a bit.
I don't know, Matt. Trinaldo looked pretty good this spring when he fought, but listen, I like a difference of opinion. I'm going with Francisco Trinaldo. You're going with Herbert in his UFC debut. You're going to want to keep it locked in. We have 14 other picks for this card, including an extended breakdown of Whittaker and Till. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt. As we always say, let's get into it.